We are witnessing something special as the Toronto Maple Leafs take down the Utah Hockey Club in what was looking like it was going to be dominant fashion, but the Utah came back. They made a bit of a push, but the stars that are getting paid the big money are stepping up and have allowed the Leafs to win yet another game. They are on an absolute tear in the absence of Austin Matthews, in the absence of a few guys. What a huge win for this Toronto Maple Leafs team that saw Fraser Minton play again. Alex Nylander make his NHL debut for the Leafs. His Leafs debut, I should say, this season. And Darius, honestly, an absolutely electric game. And again, it looked like when they went up 3-1, it was going to be a dominant attempt. The Leafs were the better team. They looked like the better team the whole game. They hit the crossbar, I think, two or three times. Nick Robertson can't buy a goal. John Tavares hit the crossbar as well, or the post, depending on both Robertson and Tavares. But what a game. What's up, everybody in the chat? John, there's a lot of people. Jim, everybody in there, welcome. It's going to be a fun one. The Leafs are on I think the Leafs are on an underrated roll right now because the games are so split up. They've won a lot, they're winning a lot, and they remain atop of the Atlantic.
First things first, let's get W's in the chat. Let's get a bunch of W's, start spamming the W's, and let's start spamming Go Leafs Go is another big win. 7-1 without Austin Matthews, which is not a slight on Austin Matthews, but they've been playing fantastic without. Yeah, but they've been playing great without Austin Matthews, and their only loss in the last 8 games was to the Ottawa Senators in a game where they didn't show up. Not even, they got scored on the first 20 seconds. They did not show up, but another great effort from the Leafs, and I love the battle back. I love the push back. Not a great first period, great second period, and sometimes that's all you need. You need your, $10+ million players to propel you to a win sometimes. So this was a big W. We're going to break it all down for sure, but there was a lot to like. And again, Joseph Woll, his 4th straight win. Again, he only allows 2 goals in this game. I wouldn't pin any of them on him. He made a couple big saves, especially one in the 3rd period there. Nice stretch save. So he's been great again. So at least goaltending, man, it looks fantastic. The defense is looking pretty good. They're pushing back. They're not sacrificing their offense. They look really good. And I saw a lot I liked tonight from a lot of, honestly, their best players, and even some things from some guys that we might not see much of after this week, but lots to like.
What's up, Shane? What's up, Jim? What's up, Blake? Caleb? Everybody in here. Skull, welcome to the Elite tier. You now have a bunch of emotes. You have a bunch of things on the go. You get priority on Collins that are debuting soon. And there's a lot of things to unpack. What's up, Dan? Everybody in here. Shane's starting it off. Starting the night off with a bang. I got to find the super chat. Shane with the 5 gifted members. Nick, Timo, Daniel. Everyone, thanks Shane in the chat for the 5 gifted Leafs memberships. Again, you have access to a bunch of new emotes. We have more emotes coming out, as well as, of course, again, some more stuff that is coming in the future. So, Shane, thank you very much for your continued support. And thank you again, Skull, for becoming a member as well. It was an electric. The vibes are at an all-time high right now for the Toronto Maple Leafs in the sense of this season. Like, the team looks very good. And again, they're shorthanded. Shane, everyone who got Leafs fan as well, you got a membership there. Everybody just thank Shane in the chat. And let's dive into it. There's a lot to go over today. A ridiculous
real quick, before we get into the game, I just want to say, in terms of the chat and everyone who's been tuning into the streams, it is an absolute shame because I know that the gifted members are random. It is a shame that Jose has not randomly got one of these memberships.
Jose, you'll get one eventually.
Jose, we love you on these streams. You've been supporting. It is a shame that Jose has not been randomly selected for one of these. It's a shame. But
one day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for obviously joining Elite Tiers and becoming members as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for the continued support. And this is going to be a long conversation to have about this game. So we can start with, there's a few ways to start. Best player on the ice tonight. We will get the game impact card as well as it comes out over the next little bit, over the few full minutes, whatever I'm saying. So over the next handful of minutes, let's start with the box score before the game impact card comes out. You have William Nylander with a dominant game. You have Mitch Marner with a dominant game. And some other guys as well. And Jose has the worst luck. He does. I want to start with Mitch Marner, and he had back-to-back goals. One of them absolutely phenomenal. One of the better outlet passes of the season. Probably the best of the season, at least for the Toronto Maple Leafs, from John Tavares out to Mitch Marner and a great finish by Mitch Marner as well. It wasn't a gimme. It was it was a breakaway, but he didn't have too much time to gather himself after he had to turn around from the pass. Great goal. And then right after that on the power play, it hit off a Utah player, but that's part of, again, you play well, you'll get some luck bouncing your way, and we've seen that across the NHL. However, Mitch Marner, great game. Both offensively, defensively, everything looked absolutely phenomenal. And we'll dive into Alex Nylander and all these things in a minute, who played 10 minutes tonight. What was everybody's thoughts on Mitch Marner? Are people starting to come around a little bit, or what are, I mean, his contract is still lingering. Like, he's been the Leafs' best player alongside William Nylander. You can kind of go up and down with that, but there's no doubting that he has been absolutely dominant this season, especially since Austin Matthews going out, but an absolutely dominant stretch for him.
I am going to enjoy what Mitch Marner is doing right now, as I do every year. And he continues to do this every year, especially in November. He's having another great November. And in absence of Austin Matthews, he's taken his game to another level. That's exactly what we are expecting out of him. And that's what he's delivering right now. And I think that's brilliant. So that's fine. I'm enjoying what Mitch Marner is doing. Another 2 goals tonight. Smart play, Vimelka. I don't know what he was doing facing the wrong way. You never do that as a goalie. And he banked it off his pad and in. So that was pretty smart. Nice play. But Marner, yeah, I'm just enjoying what he's doing right now. He's leading. It's great. But in terms of like contract and where we're going in the future, don't talk to me about that until April, right? We're going to have to see what happens in April. Jim
With the super
is
chat.
here.
Jim with the super chat. Hard work, incredible effort by the team, and Wall looks solid with better rebound control. And that, yeah, the stretch on that toe save was crazy. Wow, Nylander squared looked good. Jim, thank you so much for the $10 donation as Jose comes in with the 20. Amazing game for Marner. Thank you guys both. Both incredible supporters. Jose, thank you. Jim, thank you as well. It was an incredible game for Mitch Marner. One of the better games of the season. A great game for William Nylander. Thank you again, Jose and Jim. And Jim, I agree with you. I mean, incredible effort. And Darius, I know I want to touch on the bounce back, the pushback that they had.
Yeah.
Physically, Shane, shout out to you. Member for 7 months. You've been you're an OG. You're definitely an OG supporter. So thank you so much. At least since we started doing the post game streams, thank you so much for the support. You guys are incredible. I'm gonna throw another one of these up there. But I agree with you in the sense of Mitch Marner. It's not working, but Mitch Marner getting his little, there we go, getting his flowers. I mean, I know I was a big Mitch Marner. I was covered as the Mitch Marner hater for a little bit there in our comment sections, which Shane with another 5. I can't keep up. Crunchy finally got one. Tyson, maybe Jose, maybe Archie. Will Jose get it? John, Jose again.
Tough luck.
Shane, thank you so much. Jim again, thank you so much. Archie, welcome. Again,
Archie.
Ton of new emotes coming. All over the place here. I think Mitch Marner ultimately is going to get his he's going to get his money, and if this is the last season with him as a Maple Leaf, as depending how the playoffs go, I think we're good there. Thank you so much. Okay, Jim with another 5. Okay, maybe Jose will get it this time. Gator, B58, Matthew, Monte. Everyone thank the Jose again. Unfortunately, hasn't gotten it, but again, if you got gifted a membership from Shane or Jim, thank you guys. Thank them in the comment section. Let's get some love. Let's get some love in the chat for everybody. And again, we're getting a bunch of new emotes as well. The more members we get, the more emotes will unlock. So we're gonna have a bunch more. I think once we hit a certain amount of members, I think we're close to 50 members. So as we get that, we get some more. So we'll continue to do that. But yeah, I agree, Jose. Hopefully you get one soon. But I agree with your Mitch Marner talk.
Yeah, to get back to Mitch Marner, I want to get to what Jim said too as well, and just gotta scroll up here a little bit at this point, but about Mitch Marner, talk to me in April. I think at this point, we know what he can do. He's a fantastic player. Is he worth the money? Yes, he's one of the best players in the NHL, right? We all know this. We all talk about it every year. He's fantastic. If he was to go somewhere else, he'd probably be their highest paid player. We know all of these things. He's great behind in the defensive zone. He's great, in front of the puck, offensive zone. Love all that stuff, but talk to me in April. Let's talk in April. Let's talk in May. We'll see where we're at about a contract extension. That's where I'm at right now, and I think that's the place to be, and I think that's where the Leafs should be as well. But in terms of the bounce back, like Jim mentioned as well, and the effort tonight, it was fantastic. You have a terrible first period. And when I say terrible, you haven't played in a few days, and you're playing down to Utah's level, right? So Utah looked a lot better in the first period than they really were. Then the Leafs came out checking. They were skating, right? And they took the 2-goal lead, obviously scoring 3 in a row. So they looked a lot better. I love the pushback from a lot of players. You got William Nylander like battling, doing what he's doing. Marner with a couple smart plays.
Hold on. Aiden Myers with a 5 gifted. Eric Martin. Shout out to Eric. Interesting. A lot. Jose, unfortunately, once again, it's very unfortunate luck. But everybody, if you're getting in, then go ahead and hit the like button as well if you're new. Thank you so much, Aiden, as well for your 5 gifted memberships. We're gonna have to do it. We'll do a new set of emotes this week, Darius. I think we have some more slots. We'll have to double check about the slots.
If we have some more slots, I'm gonna come up with
maybe a Joseph Wall one for you.
Joseph Wall, 100%
we need a Wall
will
one.
be in there. Yeah. I got some fun ideas. We just don't have enough slots at the moment, but
We're unlocking slots with all your guys.
as we go, yeah. So
Aiden, he did
I definitely
not.
have some fun stuff.
He did not get it as of right now. But thank you so much for your 5 gifted, and spam up some of the emotes. Everybody who got new members and everything like that. We also have the
Yeah.
game impact chart, which we'll get into in a minute. But you can finish your thought there.
Yeah, I love the bounce back from the Leafs tonight, and a lot of really good plays from William Nylander, Mitch Marner. Obviously, I thought Alex Nylander had a great game. I was expecting very little out of him because I thought he wasn't going to play very little, and that's fine. I thought he'd get a couple shots and stuff like that. He hit the post. He had one really good chance where he put somebody in a spin cycle. That was good, but yeah, he had a great game tonight. And Nick Robertson should have had 3 goals tonight. Should have had 3 goals tonight, but it doesn't count. You got to put the puck in the net. So he's been struggling. At some point, they may take him out of the lineup here. I'm getting a little bit worried about that. I wouldn't say worried, right? Because yeah, not worried, but that's a thing we got to start thinking about for sure. And I said it, from the start of the season. Let's talk 15 to 20 games in. We're now 21 games into the season, and I was saying, let's talk then about whether this is working or not with Berube and some of the guys. Clearly, yeah, Nick. It's working. They've bought in. They're playing really well. And imagine when they're fully healthy. You had an entire line that was Marlies tonight, right? And I know they're playing Utah, but you beat Vegas the other night too. So they're playing really, really well. And I'm excited to see what happens when everyone comes back because they all seem like they bought in. It's a different mentality. I see Marner doing different things than last year as well. Again, we'll talk about him later in the year, but I'm liking what I'm seeing from a lot of players. And the defense looks so much better. And a result of that is the goaltending looks better, but the goaltending is better anyway, even if the defense wasn't improved. But it looks better as a result. So
I mean, I think they have top 3 goaltending in the league. I mean, you make an argument has the best goaltending in the league if you account for both goalies. Obviously, there's some other teams there like the Jets and things like that who are playing well, but it's very interesting. Robertson is our best trade piece. We need him to score to get a better return. That is also true. I mean, I think they are going to move Nick Robertson at the end of the day. Over the next few weeks as that trade deadline approaches. When is the trade deadline this what's the exact is it
I actually don't know. I would assume it's in March this year.
I was gonna say I think it was March.
4 Nations. Yeah, I think it's
if anyone knows, you can let us know in the chat the exact date of the deadline. But at the end of the day, there's still a lot of hockey to go, and we'll get into the impact chart here in a moment because I don't think anyone necessarily played a bad game. Like you could argue that one of the bad plays was Bobby McMahon's turnover that led to Jake McCabe's penalty, which led to the goal. That was one that was a bit of a thing. But even then, I think everybody had a solid game. I didn't hate no one noticeably was really bad tonight. Alex Nylander looked good, like you mentioned. Fraser Minton had a couple chances. He did get an assist. He had a couple chances to score on the 5-on-3. Ultimately, didn't come to fruition, but I still think that he looked comfortable out there, and they were obviously, playing him with the 5-on-3. So it's interesting. And let's dive into the impact score chart here. And I want to ask, as Jim comes with the 10, and we can get into Nazem Kadri towards the end of this stream as well, because we obviously had a video on that now. We made a lot of videos. I'm assuming yesterday, I think it would have been.
Yesterday, yeah.
So yesterday. Thank you so much, Jim. Forget Kadri. Our new third-line center was playing for Utah. Nick Bukestad.
Yeah. One of the better names in the league.
Nick Bukestad. He took a penalty as well. It was an interesting game. I liked his game, though. And we can dive into some trade targets as well. And there's a lot to discuss. Jim, thank you so much for the 10. Your support is incredible. But, yeah, Kadri, I'm not a huge fan of that. And I want to dive into that deeper, Jim, shortly. Because people were fired up in the comment section. As Nick gets another 5. Does Jose get a membership? Ryan, Matt, Colby, and Jared. So, unfortunately, Jose... Nick, thank you so much for the 5 gifted members again. Everybody thank Nick. Thank everybody who's given you memberships if you got one. Now your guys' support again. We're going to have a ton of emotes for you. I don't know what the next threshold is, but for next stream, which will be Wednesday, I think, we'll have a bunch more emotes for you all. So thank you so much, Nick, for that, and Jim for your donation. Your guys' support tonight is the vibes are great.
Not just tonight, man. All season. It's unbelievable. You guys are unbelievable. Thank you. This is fantastic.
And leave in the chat right now. Hopefully Jose gets a membership. I feel bad. If you could I would gift him one myself. You can individually gift him, but you don't allow that.
That would be a moment.
Jim gets another 5.
Here, this is the moment. This has to be the moment.
Okay, we have Aiden bringing 1. We have Jim bringing 5. Mike, loophole, SPF dash, I think we have one more coming in, maybe. Maybe
I think
not.
we have one more coming. Maybe not.
Nope.
I think Dash was the one more. Yeah, there
Okay.
you go. Unfortunately, yeah.
Maybe Jose doesn't have gift on. Is that a setting you have to turn on?
I am unaware of that if that's the case, but
Well, Dash, welcome to the
yeah.
welcome to the membership community.
Welcome in, Dash.
More features
And
coming
everyone.
soon. Yeah,
Welcome in.
welcome everybody who's in. New emotes. Again, we're gonna have more stuff.
Yeah.
There's some members only. We're also gonna get. I haven't forgot to tell you this. I mean, we kind of spoke about option like members only streams at some point and different members only videos. So just like extra content that's gonna be coming out as well. Just not like the normal stuff. Just some extra stuff. So just not again the videos. The normal ones will be there every day, but some members only streams specifically.
Just some additional content.
Yeah, like
shorter
additional content, but it won't take away from the normal content. So don't worry.
Yeah, it'll be fun and. This is awful for
Jose. Make sure that's
sorry.
turned on. I didn't know this thing you had to have turned on. So Jose, make sure that's turned on. And thank you again to Aiden and Jim. I watched for a while, but glad to be a member. Love to watch the channel. Dash, thank you so much.
Thank
and
you,
now,
Dash.
yeah, you are a member now. So welcome. You get some exclusive stuff here. Yeah. So Jose, make sure you turn it on if it's not on already. But
I'm not sure if that's a setting, but
I want to ask the chat: who do you think was top 3 in the impact score chart? And I'm assuming, Darius, you knew what it was. I mean,
I know, so I won't guess here. Yeah.
I haven't looked at it yet. I'm going to guess William Nylander 1, Marner 2. I'm just going to guess all 3 at once. Yeah. Nylander 1, Marner 2. I really don't know. John Tavares. You know, maybe John Tavares 3. I'm going to go with those 3. It might be wrong order, and I'm going to check right now. Mitch Marner, Chris. I was close.
Chris Tanev had a fantastic game tonight. Yeah.
Okay, so Marner, Tanev, Tavares, McCabe, Nylander. Yeah, Tavares had a phenomenal game as well. Yeah. Wow, what a game. OEL had technically a bad game.
He had a technically bad game. And did he take a penalty? No, that was Simone Benoit again. That's right.
That's good game.
That is another. Yes. But that is a problem. The penalties is a problem for Simone Benoit. He's got to figure that out. But OEL, I thought he looked good. Like, I don't know. I'm looking at different things, maybe like his patience with the puck. I'm really noticing like he's not panicking ever. And I love that. But I guess, analytically here, he didn't have the greatest game, but I thought he played okay. Like, I didn't think anyone had a bad standout bad game. Yeah. It was kind of like Vegas again, where you could look up and down the lineup and go, I don't know if anyone had a bad game that you could point at one guy and he had a terrible game. So, which is good. If you have more of those efforts consistently, you're going to find success more often than not. So, I'm glad that we're getting a lot of these games, because last year there was times where you could look and be like, I have no idea what 3 guys were doing tonight. Right. Like,
yeah, I mean, I thought OEL played great. Better. I guess an advanced analytics bad game. For him, one of those games where it doesn't meet the eye test. Yeah, Victor, I agree with you. It's I guess these happen sometimes. I guess when you're playing so well, like someone's gonna have to take the hit. Alex and Nylander, you look at the thing there. He was towards the middle, I would assume. Yeah, he was almost right at the middle. I think he played well, played his role great. Grabankin was a bit less noticeable out there tonight for me. I didn't really see him. In the first game, you really saw him. Last game, not too much. I think there was a setting. Maybe there isn't. Hit the like. Yeah, let's try to get to 50 likes as well. Shout out to everybody in here. It's an interesting one. I noted, I didn't notice Nikita Grabankin as much as I definitely did in the first game, and I wonder what his ice time was. Was it under 10 minutes? Maybe not.
He didn't play a lot.
It was 7 minutes. Okay, so the eye test,
he really did not play a lot.
So again, interesting. Very interesting, and I guess that's the best way to put it. I mean, Marner is far and away the best player on the ice tonight, and the eye test proved it. Chris Tanev,
for sure, yeah.
Very good. It's crazy to me how much better Chris Tanev technically was according to the advanced analytics than OEL, when didn't seem that crazy. But yeah, I think Alex Nylander was good. Were we? They have a lot of forwards.
Far too many forwards, and some. Okay, let's touch on that. So a lot of people were talking about the last couple of days, and I think it's wishful thinking, and I kind of came back down to earth today watching tonight's game. Fraser Mitten is a great player. He's going to be a great player. He's probably going to be a third-line center in the NHL and a very effective one, but he's not ready right now. He's just not, and they're going to have to make a trade. The Leafs are going to have to make a trade this season for a third-line center, because this player is going back to the Marlies, and that's fine. It's not a knock on him. He's going to be fine, and he's going to need to develop. Same with Gurbankin. I don't know, man. He brings something. I just don't think he's ready yet, and I don't want him to be kind of swimming around.
I know each game is going to be different. Each game matters a lot for these young guys
Right.
right now because they're not going to
100%.
have many opportunities to keep playing. So if Gurbenkin plays bad 2 out of his 3 games, he's going to get sent down because Steven Lorentz or someone else. I mean, obviously Lorentz is probably going to stick with them for the rest of the year, but
Right.
yeah, man, trade is going to happen. I don't want to say soon, but probably.
They're looking at it. They're definitely looking at it right now, I would think.
Connor Dewar, like he's staying in there too, I think. Great in the PK. I think Nylander should take Robertson's spot and then trade him. Anyone agree? I do want to ask the chat about that, actually. Thank you again, Blake Sim, for the $6.99. I mean, last stream we had the conversation about how, there was a bunch of different guys. Alex Steves in there, and then, of course, we had Nikita Gurbenkin saying over Nick Robertson. I think, realistically, the best player to replace Nick Robertson would probably be Alex Nylander. And, again, there's a world where that's their plan. You cannot send Alex Nylander back down now without having to clear waivers. And he looks like an NHL player. Within this big group of, guys, he was in the middle, better than a lot of the regulars, or at least better than the guys who he's competing with at the very least. So they're going to see how he continues to, showcase his talents. Blake, thank you again. But you have guys that they can go for. Morgan Frost. There's a lot of other guys. But, Alex Nylander, I think, is here to stay, regardless of what they do at the deadline. I would assume... Like, do they, healthy scratch Connor Dewar? There's a lot of different. I don't think Pontus Holmberg's job is safe. I don't think, obviously, of course, Nick Robertson's job is safe either.
I'm just going to float this out there, and this is totally speculation, so don't take my word like 100% here. But I would think that the Leafs and Alex Nylander's agent might have something in place here where other teams would not like to claim him off waivers if he was sent back down to the Marlies, like whether it's something to do with cash or something where he won't report. Sorry. I'm just floating it out there, but I feel like there might be something there. There could be something there. But at the end of the day, he earned himself a contract. He's been playing well enough that there were so many injuries that he's earned himself a way onto this team. And I do think things have changed. Like Robertson, it's not looking good. I thought it was going to be fine. You can't have a guy like Nick Robertson on your third line. You just can't. And especially heading into the playoffs. It just won't work. So they might have to move off this player at this point.
Finally come around, I think. Is that what I'm hearing with my
Listen, sometimes reality knocks. So you have to deal with it when it comes, right? And I've been talking about it. Let's wait 15, 20 games. We're at game 21. Let's talk about the reality of things, right? He had a couple posts tonight. He was playing good. But when everyone's healthy, or barring everyone being healthy, obviously, because that might never happen. You don't know. But he's not putting up the numbers he needs to. He can't play on the third line. That's just the fact of the matter. Now, Alex Nylander, I watched him a lot. I used to cover the Mississauga Steelheads, and he played one season in Mississauga in the OHL. And this is a fantastic offensive player, but he has a lot of inconsistencies defensively, a lot. And physicality is also a thing that I think William Nylander was always questioned about, and he's brought it to the table now. He is that guy now. Alex, I haven't seen that out of him, right? I think that possibly he could get there, but I think there's a few inconsistencies in his defensive game that Berube won't like. So will he stay on the roster? I'm not sure, especially coming into playoffs. But I think if we're just talking about strictly Nick Robertson or Alex Nylander had some jump tonight. He's hungry to get back into the NHL. Maybe you look at that as an option and you move off of Nick Robertson at this time, because we're at this point now. He's not scoring. He needs to score, and you can't have a guy like that on your third line. You need a more role-defined third line.
Now I wonder if he gets healthy scratch next game. So it's interesting. Hard worker, as Darius is saying, can't play the physical games, doesn't fit the third or fourth, and can't score in the second. Bye. We got the chat back. Good job. Yeah, the chat is up now, back on the screen. I feel bad Jose didn't get his member.
I will just one last thing on Robertson that I did notice. I've been critical of like Marner and some other guys about this as well. He didn't score tonight, and he hasn't been scoring, and he hit a couple posts. He realized it's not going for me. It's not going for me, and he was getting engaged other ways. And he was playing more physical, I thought, tonight. He blocked that shot. So he was getting engaged in other ways. And I think you need to do that when you're not scoring. So I will give him credit in that way. But again, I will maintain that you can't have a guy like that who's not scoring, who's only an offensive threat, really, on your third line. It just doesn't work. Nope. And it won't work for a Craig Berube team. So
yeah, and ultimately, that's what matters at this point, is Toronto Maple Leafs winning games. And again, we can get into Kadri in a minute. Alex is drafted way higher than Robertson and is bigger. Bye-bye, Robertson. Yeah, he's probably gone. Again, I don't know how soon is the question. Like, maybe as soon as everybody gets healthy. Alex Steves isn't going to play anymore, obviously, once everyone's healthy. And again, Wednesday is the targeted return for Austin Matthews. So
Yep.
we saw him skate today, didn't play. I assume he's going to play Wednesday. All signs are pointing to that. So who's the first guy to get shifted out is my question to you and the question to the chat. Who is the first guy to get taken out of the lineup on Wednesday? Again, I mean, it's also interesting because David Camp is still out for a while. Matthews is a center, so it's a bit,
Yep.
Minton probably would be my guess once Matthews comes back. I think there's so many moves. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work out with it.
Yeah.
The amount of players need to have, but I mean, Pontus Holmberg hasn't been good. Fraser Minton, he's going to get sent down regardless. Brad Schlieving already said that. Alex Steves probably also going to get sent down, albeit he was fine. Nikita Gurbenkin's also going to get sent down. Nick Robertson's probably not good enough to be playing, but it's interesting. Probably Gurbenkin, maybe.
I'm thinking Gurbankin or Minton. I would think Minton first, just naturally because he's a center, and I
Center,
think
it's seamless.
they would rather him be like Gurbankin is older. I think not much older, but he is older and has pro experience. I think they'd rather Minton go down and be like protected, be more sheltered. So I think it's going to be Minton, but it's him or Gurbankin. Everyone else can stay. Alex Steves has played in the NHL. He has NHL experience. He's on the fourth line. It's not a big deal. So anybody else I think would be a mistake. And Alex Nylander, I think I don't know, he looked good tonight. There was a little bit of jump, and they got put together, him and William, pretty quickly, and they had some jump. So I think he could stay for a bit.
Yeah, and there was plays where William Nylander, I think, looked specifically for his brother, where he could have
Yeah.
maybe made a couple of other passes, but he went for the trailing Alex Nylander, and ultimately, I mean, it worked out. He played great. He was a +1. Two shots on goal. I think he had. Let me see. Yeah, 2 shots on goal, 10 minutes. Like he was an impactful player. And again, it would have been nice to see him. He almost scored a goal, and again, so many players almost scored a goal. Fraser Minton, you could have, conversation may be different, but again, Minton didn't look phenomenal tonight. Unfortunately, he didn't look bad. I just don't think he looked a little bit, I would say, uncomfortable at times, which makes sense. He's still a young, prospect, I guess you could say at this point. He played for the Leafs still last year.
Yeah.
The 4 games didn't do much. He's already gotten more points, so more points this season than he did last year, which is obviously good. But a rare Morgan Riley bottom of the impact card, and he wasn't he was still good. I think everybody played phenomenally, but the question now is, and caught up in all of this is the fact that Matthew Nyes is still, that slipped my mind kind of for a second because of how many injuries there was. Domi is out, Matthew Nyes is out, Austin Matthews is out, and I'm missing some. David Kampf is out.
David Camp's out. Max Pacioretty.
He's
going to be out till December 14th. So, there's quite a few players out right now. I do think that Matthew Nyes is supposed to be back Wednesday. I do think that.
So Matthews and Nyes' return would be, that first line, then it basically recompletes it. But the question mark now is Marner. Will he stay as aggressive on that first line? I want to keep seeing this Mitch Marner. Like if we see this Mitch Marner alongside Matthews and Nyes, Matthews and Matthew Nyes, the team would be unstoppable if he played like this on his own.
Yeah,
Ryan Reaves
he's
too.
been.
About that
I just read that and I was like, oh yeah, let's get to that. But no, I think we'll have to see how practice goes. Tomorrow, I believe they're practicing. They might even be practicing Tuesday. We have to see how that goes because Matthews is not a guarantee for Wednesday. Like not even close at this point. I think he hasn't practiced with them yet, so we're gonna have to see what that looks like. Matthew Nyes, I think, will be back. I think it was precautionary, but they had to put him on the IR to get some more bodies in there. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out on Wednesday. But there's a couple of Marlies I think have earned to stay here for a bit longer, and Fraser Minton I wouldn't say he hasn't earned to stay here, but he just looks a step behind. I think he should go to the Marlies. Like, let's not rush this guy.
Yeah, do you think that they split up Marner now once Matthews returns? Do you think they put him on the second line, I guess, alongside Willie? Or do you think they still try to rock the Nyes, Matthews, Marner line, which it would be weird. It would be hard to demote Mitch Marner, I think, following the best stretch of his season. So
this is where I fall on it. If Nyes and Matthews are available on Wednesday, that first line is getting put back together, right? Whether you like it or not, it is. And I think for me mentally, why don't you continue to play well? Like, why should that be a bad thing? You've been playing really well if you're Mitch Marner, right? So the first line is getting put back together. Continue to play well. Like, there's no reason for you to take a step back now all of a sudden. Just keep doing what you're doing, right? You're just playing with different players now, better players. So continue to do what you're doing. I think it's fine. I think it should be fine. They're rolling right now. The mentality is good. So, but Nick, from Jim too, what do we do at Reaves now? I love what he brings, but with each passing game, it feels like he no longer has a place here. What do you feel about Reaves? Because I want to say people are split, but I feel like it's more negative towards Reaves in the fan base.
Yeah. I don't know. Like he'll play every 3 games, and that'll be that. Like, I don't know if he deserves much more because there's just better players right now that are giving you more. And once you're healthy, I mean, Connor Dewar's back now. And when you think about, I think that directly replaces Ryan Reaves' spot. I'm not saying it replaces what they bring because it's still very different things. But I mean, where are you going to fit Ryan Reaves in with Connor Dewar playing as well as he is in given his role? He's not having phenomenal games, good in the PK, physically good. Like he's a responsible player is ultimately what he is. And Ryan Reaves is also a responsible player, but where would you put Ryan Reaves in? Maybe if you have a matchup against the Bruins or something's going on, you have Ryan Reaves in. But otherwise, it got to be Connor Dewar. And then once David Kampf is healthy, it got to be Connor Dewar, David Kampf, and Steven Lorentz to me every single night. And maybe, you throw in Pontus Holmberg in there occasionally or Ryan Reaves. But I just think Connor Dewar now that he's healthy is the better option every single game.
Connor Dewar has use for sure, and I think that he will see a lot of ice time now that he's healthy and he's back in the lineup. Ryan Reaves also has use, and I think he will be, after the suspension's done, he'll be back in the lineup. But again, he won't play every game, and he hasn't been, right? He'll play like 3 games, 4 games at a time. They'll take him out, right? And maybe he'll miss 2 games, something like that. So I think Reaves, as soon as he's healthy, again, whether I feel that's right for the team or not it doesn't matter, because what I think Berube is going to do and what the coaching staff and what the dynamic of the team is completely different, right? So I think that he's going to come back into the lineup, and I do think that he has a lot of use as well, because things like, I don't know if we have the video clip of Marner getting clipped tonight, things like that. I feel like just do not happen if Reaves is in the lineup. It sounds ridiculous, it does, but it's true, because when you have to answer the bell, you're not going to do stupid stuff, and you're not going to run around. So, yeah, as like, I forget who it was that throws his body. I think it was McBain, maybe, just throws his body at
Wasn't
Marner.
a penalty, by the way.
And it wasn't a right. Like
the penalty was on a hook, so
yeah.
Not interference or not tripping, I guess would have been the call there.
Right.
Ryan, do not do that to me. Do not do that to me. You can't. You can. That's just not. You can't do that to me. Oh, I thought my heart actually skipped for a second. I thought I got a phone call. I thought I got a phone call telling me that.
That is happening. Thomas as well. Nothing goes down when Revo is on the bench, but that's what I'm saying, right? Reaves hasn't fought yet this year, but there's been no shenanigans in the games, really, when he's been in the games. When he's been in the games, it's been pretty tame, and I feel like that's why he's there. So we'll see. This is from Jim. What grade would you give the team at this point? Because obviously we're about, like a fair bit into the season here.
What are we, a fourth? I think we're a fourth of the way. They played 21 games ish, so around a fourth, maybe a bit more.
And not only that, I think the whole time I've been, preaching on stream that, like, let's wait 15, 20 games in. We're at 21 games in now. So what do we feel about the team, Nick?
I love it. I mean, okay. The games have been so spread out. I'm gonna get up I can't even keep track of how many games won in a row. What do I think? It's 3 now, technically, in a row. Yeah. I think so. So 4. This is their 4th win in a row. So again, they won against that's a lot of wins. They are, just so we can all appreciate this, I don't know if anyone has realized this. I mean, like, obviously they have. I'm gonna ask you, did you realize that the Leafs are 7-1 in their last 8 games? Like, I knew they were great, but they are 7-1. I thought they were, 6-1 or something like that. They are 7-1 in their last 8 games, which the last 8 games you may as well call it the month of November with the way that this schedule has been. Grade wise, A, I think. A minus. Can't give it an A plus because you are first in the Atlantic. I'm gonna go A minus. I'm just gonna go A minus. I think there's still room for improvement, but you could give it an A plus pretty easily and be fine because ultimately they've dealt with injuries, they dealt with everything. And they are atop of their division, one of the best teams in the NHL. They're 7-1 in their last 8. The question mark is how they do once, Austin Matthews returns. The Jets, Jets are top of the NHL by 4 points, but the Leafs now, and the Leafs are getting less and less games in hand now. Like they're behind some. Like they have some games in hand on some other teams in the NHL because of their lack of games. So that was kind of the narrative for a little bit now. But they're about on par with everybody else. And after tonight's win, they're at 28 points. So they are. They're them. I think it's just. What's your grade? What's your letter grade?
I'm gonna go B plus, and obviously they have a lot of injuries, but there's a lot of inconsistencies I still see from some top players that I want out of their game, and I feel like we'll get there because it's still early in Berube's tenure, so I think we'll get there. But they're playing fantastic. They're playing well, and they're doing it without some of their better players on paper, at least. So it's really encouraging, that's for sure. And no, they've been playing well. And obviously, I think the reason like we're not making a bigger deal out of them being 7-1 in their last 8 is because they had that absolute stinker against Ottawa in the middle of that, and everyone was kind of feeling down about that. But no, they've been playing fantastic, and without Austin Matthews, and now obviously without almost everybody in the lineup, an entire line was Toronto Marlies. So no, they've been playing great, and B plus. But I think I have very high expectations. I want to see them, I want to see the old habits beat out of them. I need to see something new. And I feel like every time I see something that I've seen before, I get a little agitated with their game. But another thing I never seen before this season was, again, somebody gets hit and Morgan Riley's jumping in for his teammate, right? Never saw that before this season. And we're seeing it almost every time this season when it's warranted. So I do love that. So they're, I'm taking the good with the bad, but I think they're moving towards a really, really good place. And this month was a turning point. You have, you're ahead of Florida now. You play Florida on Wednesday. You can create a lot of separation there and take control of that division and just keep rolling from there. So I love it.
Yeah. Also, if you're shout out to the 100 plus in here, starting at 50 likes, we're 13 away. So I think that's a goal we can hit. To win the night, yeah, I literally was just going to say that, Jim. So the Panthers have lost 3 in a row. The Leafs are now 3 points up on the Florida Panthers for first in the Atlantic, which is crazy when you think about it. And they're really no other teams are super close. Like the Sabres at 23 points, the Bruins at 23 points, the Leafs have 28. So that division is up for grabs, and they need to grab it, quite frankly. And they're only there's a world where they could make a push for the Eastern to win the Eastern Conference as well, which doesn't mean much.
I think it's open this year because it's them in Carolina right now, and like Boston's really trailed off here. I mean, the Panthers are in the mix, but if you can stay on top of them, especially with this game, this is a big game on Wednesday, point wise. But if you can stay on top of them, that's great. And then if you look at the Metro too, like forget the West, let's just talk about the East. Obviously, it's Carolina. New Jersey's kind of in the mix there, but Sheldon Keefe is coaching them. And there's a lot of inconsistencies. They're a young team as well. The New York Rangers, which were just brought up from Shane, that if the playoffs started today, the Leafs would be playing the Rangers, are struggling right now. They give up almost 50 shots a game. They're dealing with some of the same issues the Leafs have been in previous years with, like, the fans calling them out for being soft. They have one of the best goaltenders in the league, but they're struggling right now. So I feel like we talked about it in the offseason. I remember saying this when we were having conversations on stream that the Leafs they may take a step back in a way with Berube being coach. But I think I predicted if we go back to streams in the summer, I think we were both saying that they could win the division. We actually expect them to win this division. So they're here now. So I think, take advantage of this. Take advantage of the way you're playing right now and the teams that you're playing, because even Tampa too, they're still in the mix. Beat them on Saturday. Keep this going. Keep it going.
Have to. You have no choice at this point because they're playing so well that it really doesn't. There's no reason not to. And as you look at some of these things, there's a total. The expected goals, they just absolutely crushed the Utah Hockey Club. And again, on Wednesday, either way, they'll be first in the Atlantic, no matter what happens, assuming some crazy stuff doesn't go down. But they need to go ahead and actually win. If they win that game Wednesday, then their vibes are even higher than they are now, and that would be an absolutely electric win, because then you're moving up even more. You're creating an even bigger gap, and I'm very intrigued because the season, again, it's early still, like kind of. You can't really say it's early anymore because it's not that early, but we're getting to the point where it's like they're not going to rush Matthews or Nye back. But if they're ready to go, I think they suit them up for the game against the Florida Panthers, because
absolutely
it means a lot. You only have so many division games, let alone division games when your team is rolling. Stolarz gets the start on Wednesday against his former team. Steven Lorentz will play against his former team, and their last 8 games, again, Utah, Edmonton, Washington. This was the stretch of games where we went over it on stream, I believe before the stretch or somewhere throughout the stretch, saying they needed to take care of business. And they beat a lot of the teams. They beat Boston, they lost to one of the worst teams out of this bunch, really, in the middle with the Ottawa Senators. But they beat Edmonton. They beat Washington, who were playing well. They beat Boston, who was playing fine, started heating up a little bit now. And they beat the teams they should beat, which is Detroit, Montreal, and Utah, which is something they haven't been doing in the past years. And they are this year, because I don't know. I think having all these games in between kind of allows us to sink in the wins a little bit. And I was
Yeah,
expecting tonight there was a world where they came out sloppy and they lost. They came out sloppy, but they didn't lose the game. And I don't know. It's
respect.
just they got to keep doing it. And I don't. It's interesting. Also, yeah, the St. Louis Blues hired Jim Montgomery from Boston. Fired Jim Montgomery. Maybe the Leafs are part of that reason because they lost one of the games from it.
Also, that hiring, their GM came out today and said that they fired their coach today simply because Jim Montgomery was available, which is crazy. I don't know how many
5-year
times that's
deal.
happened. Yeah, nuts, nuts. So that was pretty crazy. A couple things from the chat here I wanted to address. Nylander is on pace right now for 55 goals, which I think would be the first time ever in Leafs history that in back-to-back seasons, two different players would score 50 goals. I don't believe that's ever happened. The Leafs only have a handful of 50-goal scores in history anyway. So it's another fantastic season from William Nylander. He continues to take it to another level, and I do believe that he is worth that contract. He has, especially after last
He's
year,
great.
he's fantastic. In terms of Benoit, he was scratched, I think, 2 games ago, 3 games ago, and I think
It
that
would have
really lit
been
something
3 games
in
ago
him.
now because
Yeah,
This is Hakanpää's third game.
that's right. So I think it lit something under him because he was kind of, sleeping before that, and it lit something in him. And I think he's been playing great since. Takes a little bit too many penalties. Takes far too many penalties. Clean that up, but that's been good. But yeah, and then obviously the Blues, they had I think they were in last place on January 1st. I think was the stat the year they won the Stanley Cup, and then Berube came in and kind of fixed them up nice. So I think he's a good coach. He's a good motivator. I'm excited to see where the Leafs go with him because things are looking good right now. Not that they started the season bad by any stretch. They started at 500, but now you're really starting
I
to see the
remember
effect
that.
of the way. Yeah.
What was it? Six,
Um,
6-1.
I think it was like 4-5-1 or something like that.
I
And
want to. I want
then,
to fact check that.
yeah, I want to say it was something like that. So,
I feel like it was. Let me
um,
check. But yeah,
I
continue.
also see this a ton as you look that up. I'll just say that I see this a ton in the OHL where, especially in the OHL, like coaches do not move that often. So you might have a coach who's been there for like 15 years who finally moves on to do something else, or maybe he gets fired for whatever reason. And the new coach comes in, and because it's been the same system for like so many years, obviously there's a lot of turnover with the players. They start really, really slow and they might be in last place until like January. And then they just shoot up to first place, and they never lose
They
again
were
because
both.
junior
They were
hockey is
four and
goofy.
four
So
and 6-6. I think
okay,
at two different
perfect.
times.
Yeah,
But yeah, they started the season 4-4 when the Panic was a little bit on the go. So yeah,
nice. Panic is always on the go in Toronto with the Leafs,
less this year
unfortunately.
though.
But
I feel like there's been less panic because every single time they've lost a bad game, they've bounced back. Aside from the start of the year, and
with a
now they're
great effort.
13 and whatever they are.
13. What is it right now? They're 13,
6-2. I think
6 and
13,
2.
6-2.
Yeah, that's a great record. Great record to start the year. I'm
Phenomenal.
actually curious to see the last time that they had this record to start a year. So they've been playing very
We need to
well.
get a
So
designated stat guy that we can just call in to get all these get all
call
these
in.
stats. Does Benoit factor in on Wednesday? Is the question. He's been sitting for a while. I don't think so. I don't think Benoit. Hakanpää. I don't think Hakanpää plays Wednesday. I think Benoit stays in there. But I mean, maybe they want to. It's an interesting question as well as who gets in the nod. And I mean, that's the interesting question every single day. That's why every single game is so interesting, and that's why there's so much like news to talk about because of how many different changes there are. Like I don't know if Yanni Hakanpää. The lineup Wednesday could be 3 different players minimum could be out of this lineup compared to the lineup Wednesday. Like it easily could 4 if you include the goaltender.
I do wonder because they're playing the Panthers. I do wonder if they're going to take Timmins out for the first time. Although I think
Possible.
Timmins has been great. I think he's been great. I'll just preference by saying that. But I do wonder if they're taking Timmins out. They put Hakanpää with maybe Morgan Riley. Benoit stays in, and they go for more because it's going to be a tough game. The Panthers need to win that game, right? Because if you lose that game, if you're the Panthers, the Leafs are now 5 points up on you, right? So that's a must win. And I'm sure we know the way they play. If you watch the Amazon documentary with Paul Maurice, we know the way the Florida Panthers play. So maybe you want a bit of a heavier defense in that game. So I do wonder about that, but we'll see. We'll see as it gets closer to the day, but it's going to be a good game.
Yeah. Shane. Yep. I I forgot. I forgot to get those. I think we have it in place. I just I forgot to get it going for tonight. I did promise over the next couple of games. I mean, Wednesday would be a good one. Would be a good one for Collins. Unbelievable. Timmins has been the best D-man in Toronto.
He's been very steady. He's
One
been
of them.
steady.
One of the best
Like,
D-men. I still
yeah,
think Chris Tanev probably has been the best overall player this
absolutely.
season regarding the blue line. Yeah, we can get into Nazem Kadri a little bit here.
Yeah, let's get into some center. There's been a lot of rumors
We had a
flying.
video on it yesterday, and the comments are they were up and down, and we didn't even agree necessarily with the trade in the video or the idea that they are pursuing Nazem Kadri. But type yes or no in the chat. Would you do a Leafs Nazem Kadri for Nick Robertson swap with the Leafs giving up some sort of draft capital? Just a yes or no. The pick, I don't know, like a third round. I don't know what the value of Nazem Kadri is. You'd assume like a third or fourth. But if you're giving up Nick Robertson too, you'd hope like a fifth or a sixth. Just yes or no, would you want Nazem Kadri in a deal for that? He'd play your third line center. He'd man that down. You get Nick Robertson out of town for everybody in there who doesn't want Nick Robertson in town anymore. Would you do that deal? But while you guys are typing that, thank you so much, Jim again. I'm trying to find this. Leafs been for 40 years. This is the best defense goaltending tandem I've seen. I think you could argue that it is the best defensive tandem, and yeah, man, goaltending is some of the best in the NHL right now. Just an incredible amount.
I don't know. Before we get to Kadri, I just wanted to touch on that. I think this is genuinely the best defensive core in the history of the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is crazy. I haven't been a fan as long, Jim, but I think this is the best defensive core they've ever had looking back in history. But goaltending, I think they've had better. Maybe, when Joseph was here, maybe you could say that, but like more, you had a bona fide starter, I guess. But no, it's really good. They've created something really good here. But let's get to the trade.
Thanks again, Jim, for the donation there. Appreciate it. No, yes, hell no, God no, no. So we got some hell no's, some God knows, and a couple yeses. I think if he was getting paid 2.5, maybe a little bit different. What's up, Robert? Hope you're doing well. Darius, I know you're heavily on the side of no.
It just makes no sense. Like, okay, if there was zero salary cap, like if the salary cap didn't exist, then yeah, I could see it being a pretty good option, especially third line center. Like that'd be fantastic, even though we ran that before. And we know how this story ends, by the way, in the playoffs. He gets suspended after 2 games. We've seen it twice in a row. So, and then obviously he was traded after that. So especially for $7 million at 34, I believe he is. We did a video yesterday on. He's 34 years old. That just makes beyond, like, there's no sense there. Absolutely zero sense. Like, it's in the negatives, right? There's way better options. First of all, there's younger options. There's more cost-effective options that you can go after. I like Bukestad. I think that could be really good. I like what he did with the Oilers. I think it was 2 years ago, 2 playoffs runs ago. He's a pretty steady player. I think he can add a lot of what the Leafs need and want in their lineup. And he's a right shot, right? A lot of people don't put too much stock into that, but he's a right shot. And Morgan Frost, even, like, there's better options. Nazem Kadri is 34 years old.
Evgeny Malkin.
Evgeny Malkin makes less, and Kyle Dubas might want Nick Robertson back. So
it's a video. It's a video for another day. I think, did we do a video on that already? Not sure if we did one.
I think we did. Yeah, actually, last week. Yeah, rumors are flying right now. I mean, everyone's there's so many trade rumors going around right now, and a lot of teams are kicking tires on so many players. So it's a lot going on.
And I think the Leafs are going to be very active at the deadline, even though it's not in the Brad Treliving regime to make huge deals at the deadline. And usually the deadline deals don't win you things. Your team has to be great already, which the Leafs are at this point. And again, a couple months now. Multiple months until the trade deadline. That is a late trade deadline, which
it's no, it's usually around then.
But I mean, considering it seems like so far away. Obviously, 3 months away now? It'll be December, January, February. Yeah, it was March last year as well. I think March 7th this year is the trade deadline. But it feels so far away for the amount of rumors that are going down. That being said, I don't think the Leafs are confined to that trade deadline in the sense of, I think if they're going to want to make a move and something comes available, they'll pull the trigger before that, March 7th, whatever, Thursday deadline.
Yeah. I'm thinking, so in terms of players, because a lot of people are throwing names in the chat, Malkin would be...
I would love it. That would be that would be great for everybody involved, just to be able to say that Malkin is a Leaf.
And Malkin is still playing at an elite level. A lot of people just look at him and he's 38. And I know I'm using that excuse for Kadri, but Kadri, if you look at his point totals and what he's doing, it's just okay. Like, he can play third line center. Malkin is carrying that Pittsburgh Penguins team along with Sidney Crosby. And when I say carrying, I mean they're not winning or anything, but the only reason that they're not getting blown out every game, right? So he's actually playing really well still. And a lot of people are throwing out names. I like Braden Shen. I like Ryan O'Reilly. I wonder what Ryan O'Reilly at a retained salary, if the Predators continue to lose, would look like on this Leafs team with Craig Berube in charge.
Stamkos. Because
they got Steven Stamkos. He doesn't play center anymore, though, so I wouldn't do that. He plays, he's more of a winger now, but there are far better options. Bukestad is so cost effective.
John, your first ever super chat. Thank you so much. Any message?
Thank you,
No,
John.
no message. The $5. Appreciate your support. I've seen you in the chat for a while, so thank you for your $5. It is much appreciated. Thank you.
Joshua
Yeah.
brings up another good point as well.
Yeah,
Michael McCarron
Yeah.
from the Predators as well. I think that
Predators
could be a
fire
really
sale
good
after
player.
they won the offseason, folks. They won the offseason. They did though. I mean, on paper, I thought they did too, but then obviously things didn't work out.
They're going to turn it around. They have a lot of time there, I think, still. So I think that's a team that's going to turn it around. But if it continues, because anything can happen, we saw the way they turned it around last year. If they just don't this year, I could see them really moving off of a couple players.
Thank you again, John, for the 5.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ryan O'Reilly. There were some rumors floating around on that front.
There's Braden Shen as well. Also St. Louis Blues. I do wonder if St. Louis decides not to trade some of these players because of the coaching change, and I wonder how that looks. But obviously, Robert Thomas has missed some time. But anyway, back to the Leafs.
I mean, this is Leafs. This is technically,
That's right.
Michael McCarron, 2 goals, 2 assists, and 4 points, and 29 hits. Yeah, I feel I'm trying to think of the most Brad Treliving move at this point. And Blake with the 279. I do like O'Reilly. That would be a good center. It would have some fans up in arms, I think. Some fans I know are very upset about it. The Leafiest thing would have been to lose tonight's game. Yep. I thought in the first period, I know I messaged you, Darius, off camera, a very sloppy game of hockey, and it was for the first period on the Leafs side of things. But that's when Joseph Wall stepped up and had his, he played great in the first period. And again, played good. Taylor Hall, that was a guy who was spoken about multiple times throughout the offseason.
He's been healthy scratched recently, so I
maybe
wonder
buy low.
there.
But like, in my head, if the Leafs are going to get somebody, I don't know if they're going to get somebody that, like, if they're going to make a trade for a guy, it has to be someone who is really good. Because otherwise, you have a lot of mid-level players on your team.
Anyway.
So why give up assets and then push everybody else down? So, like, you need to get somebody very good. And in my head, very good at what they do. So, again, Evgeny Malkin would obviously categorize as that, but Ryan O'Reilly.
That would put them over the top. That would be a crazy trade.
Yeah.
But that would be hard to pull off, I think, especially because Pittsburgh can barely retain any more salary this year. But
I think
Ryan
Bugstad is good. Bugstad, whatever.
Bugstad, I keep saying it, Bugstad. There was one player you just mentioned. I forget. Oh, Taylor Hall. I wonder what a Taylor Hall for Nick Robertson trade would look like, because I feel like Chicago would be all over that. He's younger. He has higher upside, I think, at this point. Obviously, Taylor Hall's a great player, but I wonder what that looks like. I think Chicago could be a really interesting trade partner for the Leafs, but Michael McCarron too. That's another really good role player. Underratedly, like him and the Oshawa Generals shut down Connor.
That seems like a Treliving move, kind of like last year when they got, obviously not the same whatsoever, but in the sense of they got Lyubushkin, and no one's really talking about the Leafs trading for Lyubushkin, and they go out and get McCarron. This is a Leafs team that no longer makes excuses and just outworks opponents. I agree. That's what Darius said. Yeah, I mean, ultimately,
what the Leafs need for the fan base to be okay is, even if you lose, if you could look at the game and be like, you know what, they put in a good effort for 60 minutes, like they laid it on the line and looked like they wanted to win, I think people would be fine. Like, it wouldn't be an issue. And I feel like that's kind of, back in the Sundin days when he was the captain, like in the early 2000s, that's kind of the vibe. Like, this is a team that's going to try and outwork everybody and put in a good effort, and that's kind of been lost for a long time until this year. But they're actually winning the games. They're converting.
Have a great night.
Thank you, Caleb.
I just went ahead and, because we're talking about trades, I looked at Timothy Liljegren, I think is how you pronounce it now.
Liljegren is now
Timothy Liljegren's, how he's doing, just to see how, because again, you give up some young guys, you want to see how they're doing. And again, I haven't been watching the Sharks games, so I don't actually know. I would have to do some more research.
Yeah.
From the stats, it is looking disastrous for Timothy Liljegren. It's looking disastrous. Now, again, has anyone in here watched I'm just gonna call him Liljegren. Any Timothy Liljegren? Timothy
Liljegren. It's Liljegren.
Has anyone watched any of these games? Because again, I was just curious to see, like, because it's interesting. Because again, some people were saying keep Timothy. He's gonna, it's just the system. Things aren't working. He has 1 point in 11 games. He was a -3. His last few games, -3, -2, -1. Those were his last 4 games. So again, I'm not saying plus minus is a be-all end-all. I was just curious of that. I don't know if anyone is looking, but like maybe some of these guys just aren't great.
I was watching. I just put on the Leafs weren't playing one night, and I put on. I think it was the Rangers were playing the Sharks, and he scored the first goal, and I was like, "Wow, you know what? Like, good for him. He didn't fit on the Leafs, like no ill will, but good for him that he scored." But you look at the stats, like you said, right? And I feel like I almost feel bad for him because he's a guy that in his draft year he's projected to go first overall in the entire draft, and then he got mono, and it just fell apart from there. And then I feel like the entire time as he was making his way through the Marlies, and obviously he was drafted in the first round, and then he finally made the Leafs. The whole time it was like, when is this guy going to turn into the potential first overall pick? And it's just, I don't think that's who he is, right? And I feel like he's kind of been dragged along for a couple years as a healthy scratch sometimes, and maybe he comes in as a sixth defenseman with Keefe and for a while. So I feel bad for him. I feel like his development was kind of messed up a little bit in that way. But if he's going to figure it out, it's going to be on a team like the Sharks. He's going to get a lot of playing time. But
Yeah, every time was
that's
20,
a trade that needed to happen.
20 minutes a game, and the Leafs got 2 picks out of it, a third and a fifth, I believe, or third and a sixth, something like that.
Third and sixth, yeah.
And of course, Matt Benning, I think that was Matt Benning,
Yep.
who
He's
now
now
is
the
with
Marlies.
the
Marlies
Marlies.
legend.
So
Yeah.
a very good trade, at least so far at the Leafs. And you think about Nick Robertson, I think Nick Robertson could have another. Again, I think he has more upside than Timothy Liljegren
Yeah.
did. That is tougher to say.
A little bit tougher.
How much cap do the Leafs have?
Their current cap space, so it's weird because of the injuries and stuff, but their current cap space is 1.5 million. But when everyone comes back, they are at negative 4.3, almost negative 4.4 million. So they're gonna have to shed some cap, which they will with the Marlies and stuff like that, like sending guys back down.
It's a very weird time to look up the Leafs cap because they have like a bunch of guys in the IR, a bunch of guys up and down. But yeah, I think
they have very little wiggle room unless they make a move. If we're talking about the trade deadline, at least
he goes by Tim now. Okay, so it's Tim Liljegren.
That is crazy.
Okay, I mean, respect to him.
That's almost like, when some people move to a new school and they like change their name.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I'm a different person.
I think he said he didn't want to do it with Toronto for some reason. He didn't care. I guess because he wasn't going to be playing much.
Well, if you look at the spelling of his name, Liljegren makes no sense. It's Liljegren. Like it just is.
The J was silent,
Yeah, I guess.
So I think he will be. I think he's going to be a solid. I mean, there's some people. Clearly, the Sharks thought he was going to be in. Now the Leafs have an opportunity to use the 2 picks they got, maybe as trade pieces for. Maybe they even trade Matt Benning or something to a team that desperately needs defensemen, something like that. Because the Leafs definitely don't need defense, but he also cleared waivers, right? So I mean, it's probably going to be hard to get a deal out of that.
By the way, saying the Leafs don't need defense and that they could shed defensemen, hilarious. In the context of the last 6 years, absolutely hilarious. I love what Brad Treliving's done with the defense.
He said only his mom calls him Timothy. I do remember that, actually. I did see that tweet. Only his mom calls him Timothy. Well, I'll call him Tim. I don't know how much I'm going to be saying his name, though, going forward. So it's going to be interesting. J's are wise in Swedish. Interesting. So that's why. Lily. Okay, makes sense. Lily pad. People were calling him that for a little bit, right? So
Lily pad was a thing for a bit, yeah.
So I think Lil G pad, I guess.
Yeah.
Lil G pad.
Liljegren.
That is a crazy way to spell it. Liljegren. Okay, 3 stars.
Yeah, I guess it's about that time.
It is about that time. Everybody, leave your 3 stars in the chat. My number 3 star is Timothy Liljegren. Lil G pad is my 3 stars.
Nick, it is Tim. Come on.
Tim. Sorry. I mean, we're saying his name for so long. Okay. You start, of course.
So my 3rd star of tonight's game, I'm going to give it to Joseph Woll because he had.
Okay, I'll change mine.
I thought he had a great game. Again, he looked pretty calm in the net. Rebound control's looking better by the game. 4th straight win, and obviously not bouncing back, but building off of what he did last game. So he's my 3rd star.
Yeah, my 3rd star is going to be Chris Tanev. It was going to be Joseph Woll, but I'll change it up a little bit. Great game defensively. Wasn't the flashiest in the world. There's something on my glasses, so I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. But got some dust on them. Chris Tanev, phenomenal game from him. One of the better ones of the season. And he was, I think, an underrated reason as to why the Leafs were so dominant in the 2nd and 3rd period of this game. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to Chris Tanev with an honorable mention to, of course, Joseph.
I think the reason your glasses have dust on them actually is because the Leafs have played once in the last week.
They are unironically, that is exactly the reason. Because I have them on my desk and they haven't been brought out they've been brought up like twice in the past 15 days, it feels like.
literally the reason. My my second start tonight is going to be Chris Tanev. He's been a real difference maker this year. I think more than people think. Transporting the puck from the defensive zone to the forwards, which was a real problem I think last year for the Leafs, and just defensively he's been great. So I'm gonna give him my second star honors with I'll give my honorable mention now. It's William Nylander. But anyway, who is your
Yeah,
second star?
my second star is going to be John Tavares. I wanted to
Nice.
give him the first star, another 8-shot performance. Jim, $2, last donation of the live. Jim, I think you maybe will have it. John, have a great night. Thank you, Jim. You
Thank
got
you,
it.
John.
Did you get it last time? I don't think you did get the last donation last time. I think you did.
I feel like he did.
I think you did get the last. I remember you and Eric were going at it. But yeah, Jim, thank you so much for the $2 last donation of the live. It is possible. It is possible. We still have the 3 stars to get through. My second star is, John Tavares. Great game. 8 shots on goal. Been playing phenomenal. Honorable mention as well to William Nylander. I feel like I've been giving it to him a lot, so I'm going to give it to John Tavares, who's having a resurgence year. I mean, he didn't have a bad year, 65 points last year, but man, is he playing phenomenal. As Blake Sim comes in with the 279, taking Jim's spot. Jim, you're going to have to fight for it once again, I think. Blake, thank you so much. Richard got it last time. Okay.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, at the end. I do remember that. Well, Blake, thank you for the 279. You're stealing Jim's last donation. But yeah, my second star is going to be John Tavares.
First star, Mitch Marner. He's doing it all over the ice. He's continuing his great play. Austin Matthews has been out of the lineup the last 8 games or so, and he's taken it to another level, and he continues to do that. So great game from him again tonight. Couple smart plays. He's playing with confidence, so I love that. He is my first star.
Yeah. Also, we're one like off 50. So if one person can go ahead and hit the like button to get 50, Jim with the $2. Guess who? I think Jim is going to get it this time. I think he might get it. Thank you so much, Jim. You did do your first star. Okay, you did.
That was my first star, Mitch Marner.
Thank you, Jim. As well, yeah, Mitch Marner. Best player on the ice. As Shane comes in with the 2. It's happening again. Thank you so much, Shane, for the $2. Give it to me. Shane, that would be interesting. Yeah, so Mitch Marner. I'm gonna read some of the other ones. Wall, Tanev, Marner, Wall, Nylander, Marner, Nylander, Wall. Yeah, like I could have given it to Joseph Wall for sure. Lorentz first.
A couple Lorentz is in there actually. Yeah, I saw a couple of Lorentz. He was great.
To Steven Lorentz. Yeah, I mean, again, a solid performance out of him. Bringing Marchand, that'd be. I think we had a video on Marchand in the offseason, I think, right?
I don't think we did, but nobody wants that. The comments were all nobody wants
Jim
that.
with the 2, not today, Blake. Oh, Jim, that is
my
unfortunate timing right there. Well, Blake, you shout out to Jim, not today, Blake. Blake said, "Hey, stop." Well, I mean, it's on the screen now, so you guys can see it yourselves. Who's technically the latest one?
The last one. It's on record now.
Also, interesting note: there was a lot of last names on both sides that are very long because the base bar has just a lot of long last names throughout this game. I just realized. I guess OEL is probably one of the bigger ones, but it's an interesting point to note. 2 more bucks from Jim and Blake. Shane, I guess you're now technically the most recent donator. Thank you, Shane. I feel like we should do something for the person who's the most recent donator in the next. We'll give him a shout out in the next stream. The person whoever gets the last donation. But yeah, Steven Lorentz could be like a 4th star. I feel like for some games we really should be giving out like 5 stars. As Jose tunes in with his 2, Robertson needs to go. I love that. Just throw that in there. I agree. My glasses are still on. I'm gonna keep these on.
We could make like a hardest worker of the game like award instead of the 3 stars as well.
$2. Thank you so much. I agree with Jose. Shots fired. Yeah, we can come up with some alternate, maybe emotes as well. We should do a 3 stars emote. I think we'll check after the stream. We should have some unlocked now. We gained 32, I think. Thank you for 50. Yeah. 32 members this stream, which is absurd. So that unlocks a lot. I think maybe 3 more, maybe 5 more. Frank Vetrano, it's another guy we talked about in the offseason.
Another guy as well. Another winger. I feel like they should focus on. They can definitely upgrade on the wing, but they should probably focus on center at this time, I think.
Yeah, I think ultimately, again, I wonder who I would love if they got Malkin. That would be I mean, it's not going to happen with Kyle Dubas, but
that'd be wild. I really think, unfortunately, like just to touch on Pittsburgh for a second, I do think that Malkin, Crosby, and Letang are going to say no to every trade proposal. Like, I think they're just absolutely going to ride it out there.
I think Malkin came out and said he wants to retire in Pittsburgh anyway. So
they all do. And I feel like they're going to ride it out. And that is really unfortunate for Kyle Dubas. Really unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, the kind of regime, I don't know. I'm surprised they still even have that core together. I feel like it should have been years now that they, like maybe 2021.
Ron Hextall kind of messed that up for them, but he signed them all to crazy contracts.
John Couturier? interesting guy.
Interesting idea. I don't think Philly wants to trade their captain,
Flyers,
but and also there's some injury history there as well. So I would look into it, but I don't know about that.
All right, Jim. I think you got it. I think you got the
Joe's got
last
it.
donation of the stream. So again, you guys had a bit of a donation battle. That's becoming a theme now. You can see Blake. I mean, it started with Jim, Blake, Jim, Shane, Jim, Blake, Shane,
Shane,
Jose,
again.
Jim. Never mind. Shane, just as I was saying that and scrolling down, Shane comes in with the 2. Jim, I mean, Shane, thank you so much for the $2. For Jose, yeah. I mean, Jose didn't get a membership today, and all the gift. Thank you guys all again for the gifted memberships. I think that's the most we've ever gotten in a stream, 32, which means we have some work to do off stream regarding the emotes. Before we wrap up, any final emote suggestions? Because again, we should have a ton more unlocked now. So, any emote suggestions? I think a Joseph Wall one, a 3 stars one that they can spam before. Yeah, Jim, that's crazy luck. Any emote suggestions before? Jared, maybe if you want to throw any out there that you have. I think a Joseph Wall one, like a brick wall, maybe.
Definitely
like
brick
that.
walls on the way. Definitely that. We're gonna have a fun little 3 stars thing, so you guys can spam it in the chat when we do our 3 stars. There could be, I have some ideas. I don't want to give everything away because I want them to be new and exciting for everyone.
The Leafs belt.
The Leafs belt is a good idea. I like that. Definitely, we can give out the belt to somebody. Maybe the hardest worker of the game.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, so 3 stars, and then we have or maybe like the most underrated player of the night or something like that. Because I feel like giving it to 3, like there's games where guys are like tonight, for example, like you could have given it to like William Nylander being left off of both of our 3 stars is
wild.
Who got the actual wild. 3 stars? Oh, Jim, you baited me a little bit there. White flag, congrats, Shane, and then you come. Well, Shane, I think you got it. Who got the actual 3 stars tonight?
That is a great question. I feel like they don't
do
that anymore.
They do
don't actually show it. Yeah, really? Okay.
Yeah, so it's on the I feel like it's like a lost thing now though, but
definitely a lost thing. They stopped showing it on
See if you can predict see if you can guess it. Again, it's from both sides.
So there was a player on the other side?
There was. The third, I'll give you a hint, the 3rd star of the other team, or the 3rd star was from Utah.
It's Vamelka. Really?
Nope.
I don't even remember who scored for Utah, and it's definitely one of those players, so I don't even know.
3rd star was Logan Cooley, hit with a goal and an assist. I'll let you guess the 2nd star, a bit less analytically driven.
William Nylander?
Correct.
And Mitch Marner is your
Correct.
1st star. Yeah.
So Marner got the 1st, William Nylander, Logan Cooley with the 3rd star, which...
Maybe we're diving too much into the 3 stars, because sometimes I'm like, you know what, Chris Tanev's my 2nd star because of this and that, and he does this in the defensive zone, and the Leafs are like, our 1st star of the night is the guy who scored the most goals.
But that's why ours are 3 Leaf stars, and I think the 3 stars they give out is more just on of who was the most visible. Whereas we were watching specifically. Poor Shane. I'll let Jim have it. Nah, I think I think you'll actually win this one.
I don't know, man. Yeah, he might come in last minute here.
That's an interesting 3 stars though. Makes sense. Logan Cooley had a solid game. He's a young stud as well, Logan Cooley. He is looking phenomenal.
Utah has some interesting pieces there. So I'm not sure if they can put it all together, but they have some interesting pieces there.
All right, that'll wrap it up. We'll get on those emotes. 32 members, long stream today for you all, and we'll be back on a live stream on
Thank you, Jose.
Wednesday. Yeah, Jose, thank you so much. Again, yeah, video tomorrow. I mean, we might end up doing 2 videos tomorrow. We've been doing 2 videos like every other day because of the amount of news that comes out, and Jim or Shane too. Okay, Jim, you don't believe me. Well, Shane, you you stole it back. Thank you again for the donation. Yeah, Utah's a fun team to watch. So if you're a Coyotes fan, I feel like again Utah new breath of fresh air. Thank you again, Shane and Jim. But yeah, so stream on Wednesday. I believe the game starts at 7:30.
I also like Jack McBain, just for what it's worth. I do like that player.
Blake, last donation. Have a good night. So Blake with the thank you so much. Thank you so much, Blake. It's hard to get the last donation. It really is. It really is. Thank you so much, Blake, for that one. Yeah. So Wednesday stream, Darius, you're there for that one. Yep. I think I gotta try to be there. I have a basketball game, but I think it's early, so we should be.
I believe is it a 7:30 start?
I believe I checked that correct. Yep.
Yeah. I believe it's 7:30 start. So
which again I prefer for my time.
Right.
I'm gonna double check that I will be there.
It is a 7:30 start in Florida on Wednesday, so we will be live after that game. Hopefully, it doesn't go too late. Some of these
Yeah, it's gonna
7:30
be
starts have been going a little late.
I'm hoping that one go. It's gonna be a tough one for me, but I'll do my best. I'll do at the very least. I'll pop in like 10 minutes in at the very least, but I'll definitely be there in some
In the stream,
in some
please.
capacity. We we definitely can do that. Darius, thank you for agreeing.
Yeah, Jack McBain. I even watched him this summer in the Marner versus Domi game. It was like a charity game, and it was a charity game. But I was like, wow, this guy's he's a big boy, and he maybe help the Leafs. Doesn't make a lot, and he's under control. He's an RFA, so that's another option. But again, he's a winger, so
I'm also gonna get a third jersey. I'm looking at it now. It's a bit too empty up there. I had my Jets jersey up there a while ago.
Hey, Pacioretty, man.
Yeah, yeah. I promised to chat that too.
Stolars, couple options there.
I am a big Stolars fan. Not gonna put the Jets jersey back up there. That was it didn't even look that good in the room anyway.
No.
To change some things up. I mean, all members with their fingers hovering over the donation. Yeah, we'll see you all Wednesday. Video tomorrow, and I mean, you'll definitely see some double uploads because the amount of news that is coming out is flying. But
we're also gonna get some returns probably this week, so that's gonna be big news as well.
Wednesday's a massive game, biggest game of the year so far, so it's gonna be an interesting one. So thank you guys all. Crazy stream again. The Leafs are a wagon right now; they're absolutely rolling. So, and you guys are a wagon. You're supporting us like crazy. Thank you guys for all of that, and we'll see you all on Wednesday's stream. It feels like every time we stream, there's so many days in between games, but that won't be the case in December because they play.
You'll be seeing a lot of us. You'll be seeing a lot of us in December.
Appreciate it.
Gonna be spending the holiday season together, everyone. It's gonna be fun.
As it gets dark really early now, and then thank you, Mick Murder Sports Up. All right, everyone, take it easy. Jim, thank you so much for your donation. Shane, Blake,
thanks.
Everybody in here. Eric, I don't want to miss anybody. Every single person, Nick, Aiden as well. Everyone at Gifted Members, thank you guys so much. Have a great night, and we will see you guys on Wednesday for the stream. But again, video tomorrow, so make sure you tune into that. We'll see you guys all then. See you guys in tomorrow's video. Here's the outro. Take it easy. Stay safe as well.
Digest your daily dose of gold. Stories of the bold where legends untold. From first pop drop to the season's full. Tune in and watch the drama unfold.